what's interesting is that I want to talk to you about a framework that governs everything in life, everything that we do. Most people don't realize this. And what I'm going to teach you guys today is a lot of the mechanics about how to think. And it's very, very important that you guys understand the mechanics before we can go into the tactics, because I know everybody here wants tactics, you want tips, and you want tricks, and you want to learn, how do I grow my law firm? How do I get more clients? How do I attract the right employees? How do I do this and that, right? But before we do that, you have to understand, we have to take a step back. And you have to understand that one of the most important things is up here, and it's up in your identity. Now, there are platforms and there are parameters that rule this world. So the platform and the parameter. Now, the platform is time, space, and matter. And the parameters of each of these is be, do, and have. Be, do, and have. Be, do, and what? Have. Be, do, and what? Have. All right. So what I want to do is I want to break down how these three parameters dictate everything that happens in your life, and how if you can influence be, you can ultimately influence have. But what ends up happening is most people want the have. Everybody wants the have, but they forget about the be, right? All through life, your parents, your teachers, maybe your employers, if you guys worked at law firms before or worked for other jobs, everybody tells you that the way to get ahead in life, the way to get better results, is to work harder, right? It's to work what? Harder. Is that true? No. Okay. All right, well, I'm in the right room. You guys are my people here. So that's the thing. Everybody tells you that if you want better results, you got to work harder. But that's actually not true. If you want better output, if you want a better have, you got to have a better input, right? You've got to have a better input, right? So being speaks to your identity. Now, what's interesting is that everybody sees me as somebody that's filmed a lot of videos. Do me a favor. I have not met most of the people in this room. Raise your hand and say me if you have seen maybe 10 of my videos before. Me. All right. Raise your hand and say me if you've seen maybe 15 of my videos. All right, raise your hand, keep your hands up if you've never met me before, but you feel like you've known me for a long time. Me. All right, a lot of people here. How about on Zoom? Unmute yourself and say me if you've never met me before, but you feel like you've known me your entire life. Me. Yep. Your cousin. All right, so a lot of people. I see lots of me's coming into the comments also, right? Now, why is that? That's because I record a lot of videos. But here's the interesting thing. Everybody sees me doing these videos, but a lot of people don't realize that it took me a long time to record videos. In fact, I decided one day that I was going to start recording videos. I'm going to start creating content. I'm going to start providing value. Because I owned a marketing agency. This was back in 2017. And who here has gotten at least one email already from somebody promising that they will get you on the first page of Google by next week? Raise your hand and say me. How about people at home? Anybody at home? Has anybody gotten that email today? Lots of me's. All right. Okay. So, and I used to be that guy. We used to do that. We used to spam all times. We used to spam all the time. And I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start providing value. So what I did is I learned the tactics. I learned how do I film video? How do I create content? What do I say? All that type of stuff. And what kind of equipment do I need? So I went out and I bought a camera. And the camera showed up one day. I bought it on Amazon. I unpacked it from the box. I put it on the tripod. I set it on my desk. And I said, well, you know what? It's kind of late in the day. It's 1 o'clock, so I don't have time to film video today. So I'll do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then the next day, well, I'm kind of having a bad hair day today. I don't think that today's really the day to do it. And then the next day, I don't have a lot of time. I've got meetings all day today. Has anyone ever kind of found themselves in this same cycle? Give me a hand raise and say me if that's ever happened to you. It happened to me. How long do you think, somebody take a guess, somebody want to guess how long it took before I recorded my first video with that camera that I had on my desk? Does anyone want to take a guess?
6 months.
A year?
6 months.
7 months? I heard 6 months on the camera. 6 months right here? 3 months? 3 months? 6 months? 6 months? All right, a few of you heard this story. 6 months! That camera Me, the video guy. I'm the video guy, right? I'm the guy that gets on camera and talks and creates video content. It took me 6 months to film my first video. Now, why is that, right? Why is it that we know the tactic and we know how to do something? We have everything set up perfectly, but then we don't do it. Who has done that? Raise your hand and say, me, if you're guilty of this. I've done it 1,000,000 times, right? At home. Unmute yourself and say, me, if you've done this before.
Me.
All right, stay awake, stay awake. All right, here's why. Because in order to do, you have to be. In order to film the videos, I was not the type of person that filmed videos, right? My identity was not the type of person that did the thing that I had to do to get the stuff, right? Now, what's interesting? Now, as a result, I film videos. Now that I'm the type of person to film videos, I do the thing. So what do? I film videos. As a result of filming the videos, what does that mean? That means that I have a good reputation. That means that people know, like, and trust me. That means that people know who I am. That means I don't have to spam people all the time, right? But I can't have without being. There was nothing stopping me from doing this stuff except for the fact that I was not the type of person. So one day I decided, somebody say decided. I decided that I was no longer going to be like everybody else. I decided that I was not going to be that marketing company that's spamming people, trying to get them on the first page of Google. I decided I'm going to be different, and when that happened, that's when I started filming videos. And that was 3 years later, 4 years, I don't even know how long ago it was, 4 years now. I've got over 1,200 videos on YouTube, and almost everyone in here feels like they know me. Okay, somebody shout out, what is in the background of almost all of my videos? Messy jersey. What else? Brick wall.
Traffic.
All right, so messy jersey, brick wall. People don't just know me, they know my background. And that happened to Patrick Slaughter also. Patrick Slaughter, give Patrick Slaughter a round of applause. Patrick crushes it on video also. And you know what's behind Patrick? There's Aladdin posters, lots of Disney stuff. And you've had this experience where you'll change a poster out, and people are like, hey, what happened to that poster? Where's that, So that's what's cool, is that when you do that, you start getting the benefits. So this is all about your benefit, your identity. Everybody wants their have, but to transfer your have, you must transform your be. And what that means is you need to become the type of person that does the thing that's necessary. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you guys know, have you ever heard a story about how they train circus elephants to not run away? Has anyone heard this story? So what they do, and I saw a documentary about this. It was fascinating. There's a circus elephant. It's a 2,000-pound elephant, right? And there's this rope around its neck, and then there's just a stake in the ground. That's all it is, just a little stake holding in. And they were saying, well, what's interesting, and this is a 2,000-pound elephant. That elephant could tear down the entire tent if it wanted to, right? But it doesn't, right? Why? Because when it's a little baby elephant, when it's this big, they put that rope around its neck, and it's not big enough to pull the stake out, right? So it pulls and it pulls and it pulls, and one day it decides that it is not capable of pulling that stake out of the ground. And then for the rest of its life, as it continues to get bigger, as it continues to grow, its identity is an elephant that cannot pull the stake out of the ground, so it stays there for the rest of its life. That's how important identity is, right? It's all about changing your identity. So how do you make an identity shift? Well, Tony Robbins talks about this. It's 3 little words. Raise your standards. Raise your standards. You see, everybody has their shoulds. We should work out. We should work harder. We should hire people. We should do this. We should do that. We should all over ourselves. I expected a bigger laugh. We should all over ourselves. But you know what we get? We don't get our shoulds. We don't get our shoulds. We get our musts. Somebody say musts.
Must.
Somebody on Zoom say musts.
Must.
All right, we get our musts, right? Now, let me tell you what this means. When I was in high school, and this goes again, this is identity, right? Right now, I weigh 187 pounds, okay? About this time last year, I weighed 230 pounds. And I have tried so many times to lose weight, and I'll lose weight, and I'll gain weight, then I'll lose weight, and I'll gain weight. But, and I always said I should eat better, I should eat healthier, I should exercise more, I should do that type of stuff, right? But I never did it because we don't get our shoulds, right? So one day I stepped on the scale, and the scale said 230 pounds. 230 pounds. When I was in high school, I had a six-pack, I played varsity soccer for 4 years. I played on club soccer. I would go to soccer practice after my soccer practice, right? And somehow, I was an athlete back then. That was my identity. Somehow, I went from being an athlete to being someone who weighs 230 pounds. And I said, whoa, I'm not the type of person that weighs 230 pounds. And right then, my identity shifted. I said, I am not the person that weighs 230 pounds. And my shoulds went away, and my must kicked in. Because I had that why that Bill was talking about. Because I made an identity shift. I am not this person. And this is what you guys have to do. You guys have to figure out how can you make this identity shift. Because when you get your must, when you have a must, you figure out how to do it, right? My should became a must, became part of my identity. So if you want a different output, you need a different input. You have to be the person who does the thing. This will pop up again. Come on, here we go. You have to be the person who will do the tactics that you need to do so that you can have this stuff. I became the person who ate well and exercised, and when I became that person, what did I do? I ate well and I exercised. And as a result, because I was that person, I did the stuff I needed to do, and now I'm healthier, and now I weigh 187 pounds. But that's my point, is that until my should became a must, it wasn't going to happen, right? Now, the thing you have to understand is that 100% of people are doing everything that they can right now as the people that they are. Every single person on this planet is doing 100% of what you can do as the person you are, right? Now, here's what I want to ask you this. If all the money on the planet was redistributed equally, you know how they talk about wealth redistribution. If all the money was distributed equally to everyone on the planet, yes or no, would the richest people, for the most part, would they, over time, reaccumulate all their money? Raise your hand and say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Why is that? Why would that happen?
Beliefs.
It's their identity. It's their belief, right. It's their identity. You know why? Because they do the things. Successful people do the things. They have the identity that they are successful. So I have the idea that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a go-getter. That's my identity. Think about Elon Musk. Think about what his identity is. Think about Richard Branson. Think about guys like that. What is their identity? Their identity is the type of person who makes things happen, right? And by identifying as a person who makes things happen, what happens? They make things happen, right? Somebody say, make things happen. So they make things happen. So what you need to do is you need to shift your identity. So the number one way you can tell if someone is trying to quit smoking, do you know the number one indicator that you can tell if they're going to be successful or not? It's very subtle. If you offer them a cigarette, do they say, thanks, I'm trying to quit, or do they say, I'm not a smoker?
Not a smoker.
What is the one thing that a smoker, that someone who is not a smoker does not do? They don't smoke. Somebody say smoke. Somebody say don't smoke. All right. So if you're not a smoker, if you say I'm trying to quit smoking, what does that mean? That means you're a smoker and you're trying not to be. So what are you going to do? You're going to start smoking again, right? But if you say no thanks, I'm not a smoker, you are not going to smoke.